Welcome to Irish Illustrated at irishillustrated.com. I'm Kevin Sinclair, and as we now know, Rico Flores is committed to Notre Dame. As we also know, the wide receiver position was a top priority for the Irish, so landing an All-American in Flores is just, a big splash in this recruiting process. One of the most important members of the class, in my opinion. To learn more about Flores, I've reached out to a trusted source and a friend of Irish Illustrated in Cam Salerno. Cam is a sports journalist out west, located around the Sacramento area, grew up in the area, a true expert on Sacramento and Sacramento area high school football, the recruiting developments in the area. And he's been watching Rico Flores play football for several years now. This is a guy who's watched him up close, often attends several of his games each season, knows his trainer personally. He has very good insight in terms of Rico Flores and how he projects, what he's about. So I connected with Salerno. He's going to come on to speak about Flores while I lay out a bunch of footage that I've edited together of Flores to get a better look at what he has in store. Let's dive in.
Rico Flores is a 6'3", 190-pound receiver. And when you look at him and his frame, he's all muscle, and he's really gotten stronger over the last few years. I mean, you have to give credit to Lem Adams, who has been his trainer since he was about 6 years old. He's gotten him in shape and right. And I know maybe there's a knock on Rico that he's not the fastest receiver in the country, but he sure can use his size to his advantage. And it's very evident when you go watch him play that he can high point the ball, and he wins almost every single jump ball that's thrown his way. He's just improved tremendously since I've seen him play. I first got to see him play as a sophomore at Folsom High School, and since that moment, he's really just blown up. And I know with rankings and recruiting, it's a lot of hype on some of these kids where they get ranked early and maybe they haven't played a ton of varsity film, but Rico has matched the eye test with the rankings, and almost in some sense, I think he's underranked. I know rankings are extremely hard to do, but I think Rico far and away is the best receiver in Sacramento right now, and I think he's one of the best recruits in California. I know it shows up in the rankings, but in some sense, I think he's really underrated. I think Notre Dame is going to get a really good player out of him.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Cam. And then, lastly, if you were to sort of describe, maybe it's like one athletic trait, whether it's route running or, contested ball skills, one or two things that really stand out about him, make him special, whatever it may be, what's that in your eyes?
Yeah, and I think going back to the point I just said, I think it's his size. And I have a pretty cool story about just that. So I was at the Folsom game. They were playing Oak Ridge, which is a rival. It's actually funny. Ian Book is from Oak Ridge High School. I know Notre Dame fans are very familiar with him. So Folsom's a huge rival to Oak Ridge here in Sacramento. And they were playing, and Folsom was up pretty big early. They have really dominated this area over the last decade. And I was staying on the sidelines with Tyrese Halliburton, who was formerly on the Sacramento Kings. And me and him were chatting it up. I was telling him about Sacramento area football, and we were watching, and I was telling about the recruits. I mean, you see Rico Flores, who was the top prize, and Walker Lyons, who's a 4-star recruit for Folsom High School. But Rico, I believe, scored 3 touchdowns that game, so he was doing really well. And I remember when Folsom was driving down the field towards us in the north end zone, or near us in the end zone, Tyrese looked at me and said, "You got to get number 13 the ball." And I thought that was just pretty funny. And sure enough, probably 20 seconds later, they threw a jump ball to him, and he grabbed over a defensive back. And I thought that was just really cool to see. And we kind of talked about it. I was like, yeah, this kid's for real. And I knew from an early age Rico was really talented. And just something else I really think that stands out about Rico that maybe not a lot of people know is just he's a hard worker. And I've had the chance to talk and get to know a lot of elite recruits over the last probably 8 years since I've been a journalist in the Sacramento area. And I know this may sound cliche, but Rico's the hardest worker I've ever covered. Just he gets up every single morning at 4 a.m., trains with Lem at Game Fit. I know Sacramento and Folsom's about a 30 to 40-minute drive, so he's getting up super early to go train and then go to school. And he's a really smart student as well, has over a 4.0 GPA. And so he's just the total package. And Notre Dame is just getting an absolute winner in Rico. I know he just has that mentality where he's going to succeed at the next level, no matter what situation he's in. He's just that guy, and I know he's going to be very successful in Notre Dame.
So there you have it. Looking at this profile of a receiver, an All-American out of California, we've seen these types of prospects like Jalen McMillan, where Notre Dame would be in the top group, but they just slipped through their fingers later in the cycle. Didn't happen in this case. Notre Dame pulling off the win. Flores had a loaded offer list, coast to coast. Notre Dame hung in there and won this one. A big splash, in my opinion. So that's it for me, though. Thanks for tuning in to Irish Illustrated at irishillustrated.com. Thanks to Cam Salerno for sharing insight. I'm Kevin Sinclair.